Isn't it wonderful being able to enjoy the beauties you perceive every day? There is no imaginable limit to what sparks awe, but what if this immense feeling of appreciation is a facade of biology? I present to you the eternal manipulation of beauty. When we observe our surroundings, it is natural to classify something as aesthetically appealing, or in other words, beautiful. But when we strip the true nature of this emotion, what really is beauty? Many classify beauty through physical attractiveness, jewels, and even money and wealth. A simple example of beauty is the following video and image of a sunset I took. There isn't anything special about it, but this sunset is definitely a generality that is considered a source of beauty. On a side note, did you know someone who likes sunsets is called an opacarophile? The defining factors on why sunsets bring so much awe to the average viewer is due to its color scheme and massive projection of such pigments. There isn't a single scheme, however. As the sun sets, the colors start with yellow, orange, and red, and then slowly transition into violet, blue, and black. Due to its size, it encompasses the entire sky, proving that a sunset's light projection reaches every visible perspective of the observer. The inherent majesticness of a sunset brings many to silently admire it. However, that same can be done for something else, something more devastating. If you couldn't tell, here is an image of a mushroom cloud following a nuclear bomb detonation. From what I know, this is an actual image of a nuclear bomb. Please don't quote me on that. Using what we had established about sunsets, isn't it true that this image proves a bomb can produce a vibrant scheme of color, creating a massive light show in the sky? Now obviously, this is completely insane, but from a perspective of purely what I had stated, am I wrong? The leading reason why many would reject this idea is due to the radioactivity and the destructive qualities of such a detonation. Throughout history, we have been taught to fear nuclear and atomic bombs due to numerous instances proving their ultimate power. For example, the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs collectively killed 150,000 to 246 people. From this clear example, it is true why many fear bombs since they cause the immediate destruction of life and property. Interestingly, numerous nations are actually banned from possessing and developing nuclear weapons. But as history tells us, that didn't stop some countries from hosting secret nuclear projects. The Treaty on Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons was signed in July 1st, 1968. This mutual agreement between the United States, Great Britain, the Soviet Union, and other participants banned many prospective nations from obtaining nuclear weapons due to the very visible threat of having such tools. Regarding the biological effects of nuclear weapons, it is very simple yet devastating. Here is a quick biology crash course. The human body is susceptible and at harm from many external factors that are sometimes out of our control. The human body is made up of cells. When a cell comes in contact with nuclear radiation, it loses its ability to regenerate and eventually dies. According to the National Library of Medicine, ionizing radiation is the direct consequence of nuclear activity that can cause human beings to be exposed to numerous forms of destructive radiation. For example, high-energy ultraviolet lights, X-rays, gamma rays, alpha particles, beta particles, neutrons, high-energy protons, charged atomic nuclei from cosmic rays, positrons, and other antimatter. The last two examples are particles and physical phenomena that are not necessarily released from nuclear activities but have similar effects. This plays into your very DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, is essentially what makes up who you are and determines your physical and biological state. As many scientists have said before, DNA is extremely fragile, and any small error in it can cause many medical issues. Inside DNA are 4 nucleotides: adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. The combination of these 4 nucleotides are the reason why we are biologically unique from everyone else who is living or has. But when ionizing radiation in its many forms come in contact with the nucleotides, it can get destroyed and completely rearranged. Due to this unwanted exposure, individuals who are victims to nuclear activities tend to develop genetic diseases like malformations, metabolic disorders, and immune deficiencies, Some even develop cancers in blood, thyroid, breasts, and lungs. From a more positive perspective, what if humans evolved into creatures that could actually withstand the disastrous effects of nuclear activity? This concept of evolution itself isn't new. Charles Darwin, the author of The Origin of Species, proposed this idea nearly 200 years ago. More modern books like All Tomorrows delves into the potential genetic manipulation of human beings that can cause them to withstand and even be vulnerable to certain factors. From an ethical standpoint, items and beings that will continue to be affected by nuclear radiation are non-living things, plants, and animals. While it sounds cruel to leave such beings out of this biological progression, there are many instances where nature has caused certain species and physical items to be susceptible to diseases and processes that don't affect others. For example, oxidization affects iron in ways that no other metal or living being experiences. Meanwhile, when wood or trees are introduced to far too much moisture and water, corrosion occurs. To get on the nastier side of nature, the cordyceps fungus, also known as the zombie fungus, is featured in the franchise The Last of Us. This fungus only affects insects. The brutality of this mind-paralyzing fungus is absolutely horrendous, yet it doesn't affect us humans. Another example is the green banded broodsac. This infectious and parasitic flatworm typically affects land snails. They grow on the eyes of the snail, causing birds to notice the enlarged host. When the bird consumes the snail, the flatworm finds another larger host to prey on. This eternal cycle of infection is another brutality that doesn't affect humans. Clearly, the human species is far more resilient than others, hence we shouldn't necessarily feel bad if we do develop traits that can withstand nuclear radiation. However, this is no excuse or justification to normalize the use of nuclear weapons. Now, throughout the Earth's history, weather and environmental factors have nearly wiped all of life at some point in time. Regardless, we're still here, so life has definitely prevailed, but there are many instances throughout humanity when weather has caused a massive loss of life. For example, volcanic eruptions, hurricanes and typhoons, earthquakes, tornadoes and windstorms, wildfires, and especially ice ages all collectively destroyed property and life. Now, regardless of Mother Nature's brutality, nature is still beautiful. This doesn't mean we have to restrict ourselves from the environment that we were brought up in, but it's always important to understand the repercussions of what we find normal to other species. My final remark is beauty is always under constant change due to Mother Nature's eternal manipulation. Remember, what you find appealing might be something as destructive as a nuclear bomb to someone else.